Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Road to the UFA. I hope you guys are doing well. This video you're about to watch is a recap of weeks 12, 13, and 14 of my journey to try to become a professional ultimate frisbee player and play for a UFA team. My goal is to do that in the year 2026. I apologize for the hiatus. I hope you guys didn't lose faith. This video is coming. It's been a very busy couple of weeks. I try not to make excuses, but there are reasons why things happen. And the reason that I've been able to make this video is because I was finishing up the school year. I'm a teacher, so I had to finish up the school year. I had a lot of captaining responsibilities, and I also had to get prepared to teach, to do 2 summer jobs that I'm currently doing right now. So, again, apologies for the upload, but there are reasons, and those are the reasons. Another reason to add on top of that is I had a minor rib injury that I'm currently recovering from. Today is Monday, June 2nd, and about a week and a half ago, I got shouldered in the rib at a practice, a Sonoran Dog practice, and I've been unable to play for a bit. Speaking of Sonoran Dog practice, here's some footage of one of our practices. And so, I've had this rib injury. It's made breathing kind of painful. Reaching in certain positions has become painful. And so that has put me out for the last, week and a half. I haven't ran. I haven't practiced. I haven't really worked out too much. And whenever I go through periods of time where I can't work out due to injuries or sicknesses or whatever reason, sometimes it can be hard to find motivation. And so that's another reason why I have not made this video. So that is enough reasons. Luckily, I'm going to be able to practice tomorrow. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to practice, but I'm going to go and bring my cleats to practice for the first time in a week and put those on and run around a little bit and see how that feels. I've been wearing lidocaine patches, which I got from my local pharmacy, and those have helped a bit. And I think I was running around a little bit today. Felt all right. Been doing some push-ups, some pull-ups, and they feel okay. So I'm gonna kind of get back after it tomorrow at practice and see how that feels. Throughout my recovery from this minor rib injury, I have to remind myself that the human body is pretty amazing and can do amazing things, especially when you give it the respect that it deserves, and especially when you can kind of have that appreciation and understanding for what it can do. Our bodies can come back from incredible injuries. It can keep people alive in the most dire of circumstances. So I keep that in mind, and it helps to speed up the process, and it helps keep me motivated and excited for the future, for when I am able to play again and I'm able to use my body to do awesome fun things. So the first bit of footage in this video was me working out. This was about 2.5 weeks ago. And then this footage here is of some full field that we did a couple weeks ago. This is probably about 2 weeks ago. As you can see me out on the field running and playing. The last time I was at a practice, I felt pretty good. I felt pretty fast. I was getting to where I wanted. I was getting the throws off that I wanted, and that's always a good feeling. So I'm really curious to see how I feel when I get back to practice and when I get back to getting guarded by some pretty quick guys and having to play defense against some fast young college kids. So that'll be exciting. Our philosophy this season is get the disc to the break side. The disc wants to be on the break side, so let's try to get it over there. You catch a break, you look to try to throw a break, you catch a break, you throw a fake. And that's really what we're going to be trying to do. And this is going to really suit my game because I love break throws. Not many people can stop my break throws, even really, really good defenders, really quick, tall defenders. I get what I want. This is a good feeling. And so catch your break, throw a break. Being sidelined with this injury has been sort of a blessing in disguise because it's really allowed me to help, instill that philosophy and really try to get people to, play the right way and to play in a way that, is intelligent. And some people are stubborn, so it's good to, give me opportunities to talk to them and try to help them understand what they're thinking and what their position is, and just try to generally get the team on the same page in terms of how we're playing, as well as watching from the sideline lets me do a lot of coaching and also lets me just see what works and what doesn't work. You should always be watching frisbee if you're trying to get better at it, at any level, because you can learn anything from watching if you just really pay attention and ask yourself questions while you're watching, right? Why did that work? Why did that not work? What could they have done differently? You gotta be asking yourself this constantly if you're trying to get better at something, right? Or else you're just there. And it's okay if you're just there, but you can't be telling yourself that you want to get better at something if you're not putting in the work mentally as well as physically. Anyways, that's enough of me ranting. Hope you didn't mind the small rant. I'll talk a little bit about kind of my training and my progression over the last few weeks. So, despite not being able to work out, I can still keep track of my sleep, my diet. Right, those are things that I can control, so I should really focus on those. So my sleep, I'd say, has been average. It's been tough getting used to 2 jobs, as well as captaining and still getting enough sleep. 2 jobs, captaining, and spending time with people, and taking care of all my responsibilities. So sleep has taken a small back seat, but in general, I'm not getting less than 7.5 hours. That is still something that is going to really, getting good sleep is going to push me through this really busy time in my life. It's not something I can just put in the back seat and neglect. And a lot of people think like, hey, I'm going to be really busy, so, I'm going to have more hours in the day that I need to do things, so I'll just take away hours from my sleep. But, you're really, what's the phrase? Throwing the baby out with the bathwater there. You're going to get bad sleep and you're going to not do as well in those things that you want to do. Because you're not prioritizing your sleep, right? So if you're ever at a busy time in your life, or you have a lot of important things happening, or a lot of things are lining up to be around the same time, and you have a lot of different responsibilities, do not skimp out on your sleep. That's what's going to push you through that really difficult and busy time. So that's a long way of me saying my sleep has been pretty good, but it can always be better, and that's something I'm going to try to improve and work at. So here's a workout that I did about, must have been a week and a half ago. I think this was right before the injury. So I'm doing some ab rollouts. I'm finally able to get really all the way down and controlled and get more than like 2 sets. So it's good to see the progression there and feel my abs getting stronger. And you'd be surprised what you need your abs for in your workouts and in your frisbee playing. It's easy to think, oh, I don't need this muscle, or oh, this muscle doesn't look good, so I'm not going to really work at it, or this is like a small, useless muscle. But I've had this experience multiple times where I've started to exercise a muscle, and immediately, or not immediately, but within a few weeks of working it out and exercising, I found some part of my game improves or becomes easier, or I'm able to do things that I wasn't able to do. So, don't ever think that one of your muscles is unnecessary or unimportant, right? All of your muscles work together for a common purpose. Here you can see me on the sideline a little bit. This is some footage from practice from right around when I was injured and I was doing a lot of stuff on the sidelines. Here we're doing some practice with our end zone set and really challenging ourselves by starting on the sideline for every single set. Get the disc to the break side is our goal for the season. So we're going to really practice that by putting ourselves in disadvantageous positions, think positions where we're the furthest away from the break side so we can practice getting there. I also think trust throws are something our team needs to work at in general, so that's another reason we're practicing starting over on the break side. As you can kind of see from that example right there. The catch was made, but the throw could use some work, so got to practice what we're not good at. My nutrition has been very good over the last few weeks. My weight's hovering right around 175, 180, which is kind of where I want it. I'm trying to eat about that, in grams of protein every day. Maybe some days I don't quite hit that. I'm not keeping track of the exact numbers, but maybe that could be something I could try to do in the future. In general, I just try to eat foods that are pretty high in protein and foods that are low in added sugars. I also generally try to eat a lot of vegetables, and that works. That works for me, but it's not going to work for everybody. Everybody's body is different, and everybody needs to take care of it in different ways, eating different foods. But generally, healthiest things to eat whole foods, foods that have good healthy proteins, healthy fats, high in fiber, and high in vitamins and minerals, because that's what our body needs. And we should also try to eat, healthy grains as well. Don't forget your grains. If you have a hard time with that, you got to keep at it. If you have a hard time, maybe have a bad meal or a bad day here and there, you just got to remember that, you're already on the boat and it's pushed out a little bit into the pond, and maybe it's stalled a little bit, but it's not going to go backwards. You're not going back to shore. You're already out in the pond a little bit. All right, you've done the thing. You sent the ripples through the pond, and they're going to come back to you and push you a little bit further out. And maybe that's a bit too metaphorical, but that's generally how I try to think about it. I hope this video isn't becoming too philosophical. I won't keep the video too long, but in general, there's been some setbacks, but I've tried to push through them and try to learn from them and try to turn those setbacks into ways to grow more, ways to learn more. I'll try to come back to y'all next week or perhaps the week after that with another video, hopefully with some more footage of me playing, because I really want to try to watch myself play a little bit more and get some analysis of that. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace out.